Good evening from New York. A healthcare reform smear campaign that has gradually revealed itself to no longer have anything to do with healthcare reform. Our fifth story in the countdown, what is being said by Republican lawmakers and by Tea Party protesters, coordinated by the healthcare industry, now revealing that the fear being stoked seems to have far more to do with anger over who won the last presidential election than it does with who does and does not have healthcare insurance. President Obama today meeting with a bipartisan group of 6 senators from the Finance Committee about the healthcare bill that appears to be stuck in their limited negotiations. After the meeting, Democrat Max Baucus telling Politico that the lawmakers discussed the idea of a Democrats-only bill if the Republicans will not come aboard. And quoting him, if Republicans aren't there, it could get to the point where sometime after the recess, Democrats may have to go in a different direction. I hope not, but we have to face facts. I know. After he said that, some of us were tempted to card him to make sure he had ID, and it was really Max Baucus. Meanwhile, town hall meetings across the country now appearing to be more about the man Senator Baucus met with today, the president, than about the health care reform that the president is trying to enact. In St. Louis County, Missouri, where Republican Todd Akin addressed constituents, the friendly crowd just loving it when the Republican congressman joked about the lynchings Democrats are receiving at their own events.
Different people from Washington, D.C. have come back to their districts and held town hall meetings, and they almost got lynched. So, you're not approving lynchings because we don't but the point is, people were really upset at some of this legislation, and with very good reason they were upset.
Mr. Akin, never assume. Largely upset because of the misinformation they have been steadily fed by the Republican spin and the AstroTurf groups formed by the healthcare industry. Oh, and unlike his Democratic colleagues, Congressman Akin did not take any questions from his audience. An unruly crowd heckling Democrats Vic Snyder and Mike Ross, the leader of the Blue Dogs, when those congressmen took questions yesterday at Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock. One woman nearly reduced to tears, not because she fears her healthcare insurance will be taken away, but because she fears her America has been taken away.
I have never seen my America turn into what it has turned into. And I don't think representatives and senators are going to be able to do it. I'm scared.
Roar.
Lots to talk about tonight with our own Jonathan Alter, senior editor at Newsweek magazine. Thanks for coming in, John.
Hi, Keith.
Is the fear, is that scare that's in evidence at that meeting and other town hall meetings, is it about the health care plan that's being negotiated by Congress, or is it fear and anger about the man who won the presidential election November last? And is there an odd sense here that we could have been looking in these videos at something that came from a McCain-Palin rally?
Yeah, it does seem reminiscent of some of those rallies. They're right on the edge there of you know, advocating violence or other kinds of things. There is a kind of a crack in the common sense of America right now. You're starting to see this. But I think in some ways this is good for passage of the bill, because if we didn't hear about all of this and the anger and wackiness of some of these town meetings, we might actually confuse what's going on there with American public opinion. And we're now at a point in our political dialogue where we're beyond that. And so I think in some ways the backlash is now set in against these town meetings and the kind of behavior we're seeing there, and it won't have the effect of derailing the bill. There might be some other things that are bigger problems, like the big deficit numbers that are going to come out tomorrow, but I don't think these town meetings are going to send everything off track.
When you hear some of the things in these that actually do reference, supposedly reference healthcare, some of them are, no better word for it, so dense as to be amazing. You want to try to sort of bat back some of these things? Well, nobody ever hears the debunkings. At least we can give it a try. Yeah. All right, the first one is from the Arkansas Town Hall, and this one's kind of standard.
There's like, say, 100% of Americans in America. 80% of us have insurance. Maybe more. I'm saying this is just kind of the general question. Why do 80% of us have to change and get something that y'all, the government, President Obama, who came in with an agenda? Why do we have to change our way of life for that 20%? Congress Congress's job is mainly to protect us from terrorists, enemies, the borders, and people that want to do us harm.
This is, there's two elements here. This is the old, I've got mine, so screw you, I'm already in the rowboat, you can swim argument. But it's also the, you're going to change my insurance thing. How do you answer the sort of deep-seated emotion that's behind that? Because clearly it's not based on facts.
Well, first of all, she's right that 80%, you know, have health care. Where she's wrong is that somehow, if they've got it, it's going to be enough for them, or they're not going to be in danger of losing it should they lose their job. A lot of people nowadays are losing their jobs. So what she's not factoring in is what happens to people who have some sort of a change that happens in their lives. They get sick. They actually need health insurance, and it ends up being like homeowners, you know, insurance, where once you have a burglary, suddenly they cancel your insurance. Right. That's what health insurance is like, and people who have not had big health challenges, as I have, and others, don't understand that just because you're insured doesn't mean you're protected. Right. The second thing that she's ignoring is the promise that President Obama has made, which is that if you're happy with your insurance, it's not going to get taken away. I mean, if she loves her insurance company, God bless her, but she's not going to have any problem with that insurance company. It's not in any danger of going bust. They might jack up their premiums on her again, but
or lower it because there's competition from the public option.
Frankly, she, I think, is pretty confused because she looks like a Medicare recipient. Right. And I love these folks who say, you know, stop socialized medicine, but don't touch my Medicare.
Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but there is still an undercurrent to all of this, which is addressed in this next question, which is about something that actually isn't in the bill, although thousands, millions of people think it is, this single-payer system. Listen to this.
Mike and I do not support a single-payer system. We're not interested in a single-payer system. We're not interested in expanding Medicare to the rest of the population. We don't support a single-payer system.
But that's what Obama wants.
So, no, it's not what President Obama wanted.
The congressman then spends 9.5 hours trying to convince the crowd that the public option is not actually in the bill, or the public option is in the bill, but the single-payer system is not in the bill. Right. But Fox comes on and spends 24 hours a day saying it is in the bill, or it's what Obama will then introduce. Right. The right-wing misinformation machine has scored a victory on this to get this into people's heads, have they not?
Yes. I mean, they just shout all day, Rush Limbaugh and all the rest of them, that this is a Trojan horse for a single-payer plan. And it is, you know, it is possible that over time this will morph into something that resembles single payer, but it's not that right now, and the insurance companies are in no danger of going out of business under this bill, under any version of this bill. So if we do end up with a single payer plan, it won't be for many, many years, and people who argue to the contrary are just lying about the particulars of this program. Obama, by design, did not move to single payer because he realized that the country wasn't ready for it.
We have news that cash for clunkers has just passed, which we'll get to in detail, the extension of that in a minute. But I want to go to this last piece of tape because this is the heart of the thing. The last questioner went into this long diatribe asserting how the president would somehow get his legislation passed, you know, without Congress. He'd just go in and make it happen because obviously he's dictator Obama, he's not the president. And she ended with this piece of tape.
I don't believe, sincerely, I don't believe that the Constitution of the United States of America is going to be upheld in this issue.
We've seemed to have come full circle here. Paranoia and anger and my America. What happened to the debate about health care? How did these people get convinced that they're going to be, what, burned at the stake? Is that what they're expecting to have happen here?
Well, look, anytime you have wrenching social change, which this will bring, this is a big piece of legislation. You're going to have a lot of folks who are going to be anxious about it. So in that sense, I'm sympathetic to this woman. But if you pay close attention, you recognize that all of this is very much along the sort of median strip of American politics. It's not out to the left. It's certainly not out to the right. It's not going to make a huge difference in most people's lives. All that it's going to do is give people more choice, hopefully lower costs over time, even though it'll cost more initially, and end the fear that all of us should have of what happens to us should we lose our jobs and get sick. For us not to be addressing that, to just continue to discriminate against people who are ill, that's the real outrage, and that really has to be ended this fall.
And you just used the phrase that perhaps should have been used all along. We are discriminating against people who are ill. Sell it that way, and maybe that would have gotten across a little more easily.
It's a civil rights issue, and it's also a security issue. People should not have to worry. This was the theme of FDR's presidency. You know, I'm kind of obsessed with that. But, you know, social security and then collective security internationally. This is health security. It's completing FDR's unfinished agenda. People shouldn't have to worry about this. It's bad enough to be sick without having to worry about how you're going to pay for it. That's what Barack Obama's own mother went through at the end of her life. It's just wrong that Americans should have to endure that in 2009.